Welcome to Paranormal Heart, a place where people can talk about their paranormal experiences. With your host, Kat Ward.
Welcome back, folks, to Paranormal Heart Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Folks, this is the first episode using the new laptop, and I couldn't be more excited. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of you who have sent me well wishes and a speedy recovery with COVID, and for being understanding and waiting patiently for new episodes while I sorted out the new laptop. You've reached out with messages sending love and understanding, and I want to thank all of you. I have the best listeners around the globe. You are the best. Thank you. I have a great episode for you tonight. I am joined by host of Let's Get Freaky podcast, Tommy Cullum. Tommy has a great new show across the pond in the UK. I was greatly honored in being a guest on his show recently, and I was very surprised that he's only been doing this for a couple of months. He's doing a wonderful job, and I had to have him on the show. Tommy discusses his paranormal encounters and how he got into podcasting. I really hope you check out his show and tell him Kat sent you. If you'd like to be a guest on the show or have questions, comments, or just want to say hello, drop me an email at paranormalheart13@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you. And if you enjoy the show, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. It's one of the many ways to show your support and get the show out there. New episodes are released on the second and last Sunday of each month at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can find me on YouTube, Podbean, KPNL Digital Network on Thursday nights, and any place you find fine podcasts. Now, on with the show. Hello, Tommy. Welcome to Paranormal Heart.
Hello, thank you very much for having me.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you on. As I mentioned in the intro, I was on your show recently, Let's Get Freaky podcast, and I was really surprised to find out that you've only been doing this for a couple of months. Well done. You're doing a great job.
Oh, thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, so
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. Oh, well, you can tell too. When you enjoy doing something, it shows in your work. So yeah, kudos to you. Good job.
Well, thank you very much, Kat.
And of course, I had to have you on so I wanted to hear about your paranormal experiences as well, because we discussed that when you interviewed me. I think after we stopped recording, we were just kind of chatting for a little bit. But I wanted to get you out there too and get my listeners to know, because I have the top 3 countries that listen to my show are the States, Canada, and UK. And so, yeah, and there's so many other countries too that, I'll have like 2 or 3 listeners from various other countries too. But I just had to have you on and tell everybody, hey, check out his show.
Thank you very much.
So would you like to start by telling us a little bit about yourself before we get into the meat and potatoes?
Yeah. Okay. So as you said, I've just started a paranormal podcast. Very similar to your show. We talk everything paranormal, ghosts, cryptids, UFOs, you name it, we'll talk about it. I like to have all different sorts of guests on and basically discussing their experiences and their work with the paranormal. And it's a subject that's always fascinated me since I can remember. And I thought, let's do a podcast. And I'm enjoying it so far.
That's awesome. So what made you decide to start the podcast?
I've always loved listening to podcasts. And I have done for years now, and I've always thought it's something that I would like to do, and never really, I don't know why I didn't start it sooner, but I recently moved to a new area, a new fresh start, and I thought, you know what, this is a good time to start the podcast that I've always wanted to do. And yeah, I'm enjoying it. Finally getting it going. I'm not the most tech savvy person.
Neither am
but
I.
I'm learning as I'm going.
Yeah. And are you getting any help with the tech side like I am, or are you just trying to figure it out yourself?
Yeah, it's really just been myself really at the moment. I mean, yeah.
I admire that a great
A lot
deal.
of watching YouTube videos and
Yeah.
that sort of way.
Yeah.
I'm getting there. I'm getting better.
For myself, even watching YouTube videos, I get really confused, and sometimes I just can't make heads or tails out of it. So thankfully, I have Mr. Brian Anderson that I can contact and say, hey, this is what's going on with my tech issues. And just in no time, he's like, oh, yeah, I know what the issue is. Do this. I'm like, oh, okay. And it's done.
I need one of them.
So tell us about some of your experiences you've had. Do you remember how old you were when you had your first one?
I can, yes. I mean, I've always, since I can remember from the start, as I said, I've always been fascinated with the subject. And when I was really young, I actually had a medium on my podcast the other day, and we was just talking, and I had this memory come back to me that I'd not remembered I've not remembered it. Obviously, when I started the podcast, I'd written all my paranormal experiences down. And on my first show, I sort of spoke about my experiences, and I'd forgot about this one. So it come back to me, and I think I was about 5. I was really young. And we was at, all my family, we was at this church that was sort of, my mum and dad got married there, and it was quite a special church to the family. And we was just there one day visiting. And as I said, I was about 5 years old, and I got really emotional as a 5. And I wasn't that sort of boy. I wasn't an emotional boy, but I started getting emotional, and I started telling my family at the time that my nan was there. And I just had this feeling that as a 5-year-old boy, and it's strange because it's not something that I would be thinking of at that time. It was just, you're a 5-year-old, so it was strange that I was having this feeling. And I remember just crying and saying, yeah, I know my nan's there, and all the family was like, yeah, it's okay, Tom, it's okay. And I just had this strange feeling. That's my first ever sort of weird experience.
No, I take it your nan wasn't with us in the land of the living. Yeah.
She had passed. Yeah, I should have
That's
said.
Amazing. Do you recall any feelings, or did you see anything, or any specific smells? Do you recall any of that?
It was strange because I didn't see her, but I just knew it was just a weird feeling. As a 5-year-old as well, I can't explain why I felt that, but it was just bizarre. But obviously my family remembered and told me about it as I was growing up, that I'd had that experience. and it was an experience that I forgot about. And what the conversation we was having on my podcast the other day, it just brought that memory back for some reason. And Donna Boyle was the lady I was talking to, a medium, and she said that that's basically what mediums do. That's how they can feel that. So I don't know. It was strange though, as a 5-year-old.
Wow. Have you ever had any experiences like that? Would you call yourself a medium?
No, that's the thing. No, not and since then. I mean, I feel like when I go to certain places, I get a feeling if there's like if you feel like a place is haunted, you can feel it, can't you? So I feel that, but I don't feel like I've got any. I mean, the medium I was interviewing, she said that everyone's got the ability to do this anyway. So, but yeah.
Yeah, I think
that's my friend.
I think we all have the ability, and it's just kind of like your sight. Some people have like 20/20 or even greater than 20/20 vision. Others need to wear glasses. Same thing for hearing. Everybody has, well, I shouldn't say everybody has hearing, but some people are born deaf, obviously, and but people who have who can hear, some of them it's just they have incredible hearing, and others like I don't hear as good as what you just heard. So I think it's the same way when it comes to sensing the paranormal.
Yeah. Then my other big experience, I was 10 years old, and we always, but we didn't talk about it so much then, but now we always say our house was haunted when I was a boy. It was next to a graveyard, which helps.
Yeah.
And and there was just a lot of strange things that happened in this house in particular. And there was one evening that I was 10 years old, so I was in bed, and I woke up during the night, and it must have been like early hours of the morning, and I saw. I'll explain the room. So it was me and my brother sharing a room, and we had bunk beds, and I was on the top bunk, and we had quite a big room. We shared the room, but it was quite a big room. We had a desk in the room, and I woke up during the night. I was on the top bunk, and I looked at my desk, and there was a man sitting there at my desk, full-bodied. Yeah, it was just, and I was a 10-year-old boy. I was petrified. But when I explained what he looks like, he looked like William Shakespeare.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it wasn't William Shakespeare, but it just looked like. I mean, it might have been William Shakespeare, but
You never know. But
I
it was
don't
from
think
that. It was from that period. Like, do you remember his
Yeah.
clothing?
Yeah, it was that sort of clothing, that sort of
Okay.
look. And he was just sitting there at my desk with his hands clenched, like looking up at me. And it was the freakiest thing I've ever seen. It was very scary.
Do you recall if he saw you?
Well, he was just looking at me.
Mhm.
So he was just looking up. He didn't move. He was it was just a man sitting there. It was crazy. And I've obviously screamed and shouted for
Oh,
my
yeah.
mother. And she's come in, and he's still there. He's not gone. He's still there looking at me. And she's saying, there's no one there. There's no one there. And I'm going, there's a man there. There's a man there. And yeah, and I know I wasn't dreaming. I was fully awake. I know that I wasn't seeing things. It was definitely a man sitting there. And he didn't go the whole time. And I went under my covers. My mum left the room, and I slept. I don't know how I slept that night. I don't know how. I was petrified. And I just remember sleeping under my covers. And yeah, that was bizarre.
Did you ever see him again?
Never saw him again. No,
Wow.
no.
Now, do
But
you
other
go ahead.
other strange things happened in that house.
First
I
of
did
all,
see something else.
during that encounter, do you recall if there was any storms or anything outside?
I don't think there was.
Okay.
No, it was. Yeah, no, I don't think there was. There was no storms.
And how
It was
old?
just-
I remember you told me how old the building was when we were chatting before, but how old was the building? I think you had mentioned that.
It wasn't a super old house. There'd been a few families lived in it before,
Mhm.
and I did know that the guy that we bought the house off, the lady we bought the house off, her husband died in there. So he died in the house, but I'm not sure if that was who I saw. I don't think it was.
Yeah, because of the clothing that it was wearing.
Yeah. So, but there was another time in that same house. I was in my mum and dad's bedroom, and I was young as well. I was about the same sort of age, I think. Might have been a little bit older. This was definitely after that I saw the guy. But I was in my mum and dad's bedroom mucking about, and I saw a lady walk past me. Now, this lady was naked, and she walked past me, blonde lady, and I thought it was my mum, because my mum was blonde, and just thought it was a bit strange, but I don't know, it was a bit weird. So in my mum and dad's bedroom, they had an ensuite, so they had a bathroom in their bedroom. So this lady's walked past me and into the bathroom. Now I just thought it was my mum, so I've started going, "Mum," and just started talking. I've walked to the bathroom, and there was no one in the bathroom. And that was weird.
That must have freaked you out.
Really, yeah, big time.
Again, you were about 10 years old?
Yeah, I was about that age. I was old. It was after I saw the guy,
Yeah.
but yeah, it
Did
was about the same sort of time.
Anyone else in your house see this lady?
No, not that I know of. No, I know my dad. The house scared him, so eventually we left that house because he didn't say too much at the time, but after, as we got a bit older, we spoke about it, and he said, "Yeah, that house was weird."
Yeah.
There's a lot of freaky stuff that happened in that house.
Now, do you know if there's anyone else in the family, like either your parents or siblings or anyone, either your grandparents or whatever, that have had paranormal experiences or that would classify themselves as psychic?
Not so much psychic. I don't actually saying that is strange. Because I have got family that I don't really speak to anymore.
Mm-hmm.
On my mother's side, who just as time's gone on, don't really see them. So like distant relatives. I've got an aunt that apparently has got some psychic abilities and does see ghosts. But other than that, no, I don't know. I know my dad's seen ghosts. I think my mum's seen ghosts as well. So we're all like open and have seen stuff.
Yeah. So when you had these experiences as a child and you told your parents, did they kind of dismiss it or did they try to explain? Were they supportive?
Yeah, they were. Yeah, they didn't tell me that I was seeing things. Or they
That's
was when I called my mum in, she did say there's no one there,
Mm-hmm.
but she didn't. She even to this day she doesn't think I was lying.
Okay.
She believes that I saw something.
She didn't say you're a daft or something, for seeing
No.
something. Oh, that's good.
Which makes
Yeah.
me think that they knew that obviously there was something strange as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I know my brother saw in that same room. He woke up one night, and he explains it as just two eyes floating, which is strange. I mean,
Yeah.
so he never saw what I saw, but he saw two eyes floating, which is weird.
And that was the same evening that you saw the lady?
No, that wasn't the same. No, that was a different
Okay.
time. But I didn't know that till a little bit after he told me that, after we'd left the house and speaking about it. So yeah, it was a freaky house though.
Yeah. It, as you probably know, and the listeners know, that not necessarily they would be spirits from the building that you're in. It could have been a building that was there before and was demolished and they rebuilt, and it's just there on the ground. But yeah, that's fascinating.
Yeah, and it was right next to a graveyard.
Yep.
As well. So I mean, that could be.
Yeah, they could have just come over from the graveyard too. Maybe they sensed you, and you're able to see them. And children see a lot more paranormal things than adults do. So
Yeah.
nice. I can just imagine over in England there must be it's just like a haunted country because of the history.
Yeah. I think when you go into like, especially an old building or something, you can feel that. You can feel that energy.
Yeah.
You can definitely feel like the history that's been there.
Now, have you ever been to visiting any castles that are there?
Oh yeah, loads. Yeah.
And
Yeah, I love visiting castles and stuff.
I hope to someday go and see some castles.
You're welcome to come over anytime.
Oh, thank you. I would really love that, and perhaps go to the pub and share some pints and talk about spirits.
That's it. Yes. I can tell you this as well. This another sort of relates to that.
Yeah.
This is going back to when I was younger as well. My nan and granddad wanted to buy like a holiday home.
Mm-hmm.
So they had their house in London, basically, just outside London. But they wanted to buy like a house in the countryside. So they'd looked at a few different properties, and they found this house that was really nice. It was sort of on the coast, in the countryside, sort of in the middle of nowhere, sort of thing in England. And they wanted to buy this house. Now it was quite a big house, so it was quite a good deal for whatever reason. So this was like a lovely house, but it was quite a good price for what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And they invited the whole family to come down to see this house. I think they was quite happy about it. They wanted us all to go down and see it. So we all spent the day. We drove down, and it was on the coast in England, up like Norfolk sort of way. I think it was. And so we've all gone down there. The whole family's gone down to see this house. And as you said before, when you can feel that energy. As soon as we went in this house, everyone was like, "Well, there's a feeling here." there's a weird feeling. This was an old house. I'm not sure what period it was built. It was definitely like, I don't know, I would guess 16, 1700. I'm not sure. It was an old place, really old. It had all like old little secret alleys in there and all really cool place. But we all got this weird vibe from it. And we're all looking around the house, and my nan and granddad are going, oh, this can be the boys' room. And me and my brother are thinking, we ain't staying in there on our own. There's no way.
Yeah, nope.
There was just a weird feeling about it. You could just feel the energy of it. And anyway, I think so. My nan and granddad were going to buy this house and have it as a holiday house for the family. And I think a couple of weeks later, my granddad was at an event, a party or something like that. And he was just chatting to this guy, and bearing in mind he'd not told anyone else about this house. It was just the family that knew it. No one else would have known. But he was talking to this guy at the party, and I'm not sure if it was a close friend, I'm not sure. But this guy said to my granddad, Ron, I don't know why, but I've got to tell you this. I've got to tell you Ramsey danger. And my granddad was like, why are you telling me that? He's like, I don't know. I've got to tell you. I don't know why I've got to tell you that. Ramsey danger. Now, this house was in a village called Ramsey.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's
That's
amazing.
giving me goosebumps. Yeah. So that's strange.
Did they ever buy the property?
They didn't know.
No.
That was enough for my granddad to go, yeah, that's weird.
And we probably know why the price was so good, too.
Yeah, that's it. So it all made sense. Yeah, there was a reason.
Yeah. Wow.
So that was weird.
I'm really glad they didn't buy it.
Yeah.
Gee.
It would have been interesting, though.
No kidding.
Part of me wants to know.
You'd probably have a whole podcast on just what happened at your grandparents' place.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
strange.
Any other encounters that you've had?
I'm trying to think. I've had other weird things have happened. Not like something weird happened with my daughter when she was quite young. Do you want me to tell you that?
Yes, please.
So my eldest daughter, she's 10 now, but she was 3 or 4 when this happened. It was really strange. So my wife was driving. So they'd been shopping or whatever, and they was driving home. And as they were driving home, my little girl said to my wife, "Oh, what are those people over there laying down with cloths over their faces?" And my wife looked out the window, and it's just a wall. It's just a wall. There's nothing. There was nothing there. So she drove past. There's nothing there, Amy. And the little girl kept talking about seeing these people with white cloths over their faces. So my missus has looked into what was behind this wall, and it was like an old where do people go when they die? a morgue. That's it. It was a morgue.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's really weird.
And where was this located again?
So this was in Essex in England, so near London.
Okay. What building was it?
It was I don't know the actual name of it, but my little girl, and no, from the outside you couldn't see that it was a morgue.
Mm-hmm.
It was really weird that my little girl had picked up that she was seeing. She said she could see, but she was only like 4 years old, so there was no reason for her to say that.
Exactly.
Weird.
That's not something a 4-year-old would usually say.
No, we was really freaked out by it.
Obviously, it runs in the family.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Wow. Has she seen anything else other than that, or do you have another daughter as well?
Yeah, I do have another daughter. Yeah,
Has she seen anything?
She'd done something weird when we was on a holiday once. She woke up early hours of the morning, and my brother's called Harry, and we all call him H. And she was going, H, pointing to the corner of the room and going, H. Now I've looked, and there's no one there, but she's seeing something because she's reacting to it, and she's seeing something. So that was weird. I called up my brother to make sure he was all right.
Well, yeah. I take it he was.
He was all right, yeah. So she was seeing something. So that was weird.
How old was she at the time?
She was like 2.
Wow.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to know if what she saw resembled her uncle.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking.
And that's why she just thought it was him.
Really strange. Yeah.
How did you and your wife react when that happened?
Well, I was pretty freaked out.
I would imagine, yeah.
I called my brother to make sure it was all right, because it was, it weren't just like something she said. It wasn't something she would say either, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It was like with Amy in the car when she picked out it's not something that they would say. Yep. It was weird. But yeah.
He must have thought you were nuts calling him to see if he was okay. Did you tell him why you were calling?
Yeah, I did, yeah. He found it funny, but
wow.
Yeah.
Gee. So over in the UK, because, the very first TV show for paranormal that I ever watched with my husband years ago, of course, Most Haunted, David Akora was the host at the time. And it just seemed like everything is pretty much haunted over there. How are people over in the UK? Are they like in North America where some firmly believe it, other people think it's rubbish, and you're crazy if you believe it?
It's a mixture, yeah.
Yeah.
There's some people are like myself, like really into it, and then other people dismiss it. But what I've found since doing the podcast, you probably found the same thing, is you'll talk to someone and they'll go, "Nah, I don't believe it. And then they'll go, "But this one time, I saw a woman in my room." And like, well, that's paranormal, and that's weird.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. I was going to ask you, because it just happens with everybody in the paranormal.
So many people.
There's always that one person, if you're going to a party or something and you start talking about the paranormal, and there's always that one person that's like, "Yeah, nope, it's rubbish. I don't believe in it. You're all crazy." But then they'll take you aside and say, "Well, there was this one time,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So many people have said that to me, like in the last few weeks.
So do people, family, friends, they obviously know that you have a paranormal podcast?
Yep.
What do they say to that? Do they say, talking about crazy topics, or are they like, "Yeah, this is pretty cool"?
Yeah, well, I actually had my dad on one of the shows.
Oh, wow.
Talking about because he's had some crazy experiences.
I've only listened to a couple of episodes, so I'll have to go and start right from the first one.
Yeah, he's tell some of his experiences. Yeah, he's seen ghosts and stuff. Yeah, and he told me some stuff that I didn't know as well, which was quite weird.
Really?
Yeah.
That must have been incredible having your dad on your show talking about the paranormal.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah.
Because
he had some.
Go ahead.
He had some weird experiences when he was younger as well. So.
It's almost like passing on, not family secrets, but just, it's just real. I love that idea. Like I said, having your dad on your show, because my dad, he was never much of a believer in the beginning, but then with my mom was sensitive and I'm sensitive, and just too many coincidences over the years that my dad just could not dismiss. And he grew to accept. It's like, yeah, okay, there's something's going on here. So it would be really neat to be able, because I can't really talk to my dad about the paranormal. I do, but not in the same way that you do with your dad, because he's had experiences himself, and I don't think my father has.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it was cool to have him on.
Well, what episode was it?
Yeah. So that was episode 6.
Okay.
I think. Yeah, it was episode 6. I called it Papa Cullum. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, because he had some weird. Do you want me to tell you one of his experiences?
Sure, yes, please.
So he used to go horse riding a lot when he was younger.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to go to a place called Devon, which is a very spooky place in the UK.
Oh, really?
I know there's a lot of oldie worldy towns there, and it's just proper magical, cool place. And he used to spend a lot of his summers down there horse riding.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of old like myths and legends and stuff like that there. And there's this grave that's in the middle of the road, just out in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of a road, there's a grave on the side, and it's called Jay's grave. And a young girl was buried there. I think she had something like she had an affair or something. This is going back, obviously, to the times when affairs and things like that were really frowned upon. Like, and she was, I don't know if she was outcast from the village or something, and she committed suicide.
Oh.
And because of that, they didn't bury her in the graveyard. They buried her in the road out of the village, which is sad, obviously.
Yeah.
And every day, apparently to this day, the flowers change on the grave. And so when my dad was younger, they apparently now it's sort of my dad said it's like commercialized, so you can go and visit it, and it's got like signs up around it and stuff. But when my dad was younger, it didn't. It was just literally a grave. The flowers changed every day. And apparently they still change to this day, every day.
Now, is it because somebody physically went and changed the flowers, or they're just changing on their own?
No, nobody knows. They just change on their own. Yeah. So my dad was horse riding with his friends, and they're horse riding along the road. And one of the girls that he was with horse riding, went over the grave on her horse. Now the horse has gone crazy straight away. Kicked her off the horse, and she's broke her arm. And apparently this was out of character for the horse. It was strange. Anyway, the next year they went back, and the same thing happened again. As they started approaching the grave, the same girl, her horse went crazy again before they got to the grave, and I think she like broke her leg or something.
Oh, gee.
Yeah.
Was it the same horse, do you know?
I think it was, yeah. I'll have to double check that. But I think, yeah, she had two serious injuries at the grave.
No kidding.
Like, yeah.
And if it was the same horse, the horse is probably thinking, "Oh hell no! Why are you bringing me back here?"
Yeah.
Wow, and it's very commercialized. You said now, or are there fences and signs and everything? Or?
I don't think there's definitely. I don't know if there's a fence around it, but there's something around it now, which there wasn't. Because I remember seeing it when I was little as well, and there was nothing. It was literally in the middle of nowhere. Because my dad was like, I'm going to show you this grave. It's a bit weird, really. But he's driven to the grave, and we was like, where is it, Dad? And he was like, I'm not sure. It's somewhere around here. And he nearly reversed on it. Luckily, he didn't. He saw it just in time. But now, obviously, there's stuff around it, so you wouldn't do that now. But
now,
yeah.
What's the name of the grave again? Is it Jane?
Jay's grave.
Can you spell that? Is it
Jays?
Okay. So I thought you said.
I looked it up after the show as well, and it's still like there's all pictures of it and stuff, so you can check that out.
Yeah, I'll have to do that. Maybe add some photos into the YouTube video.
Yeah.
It
is cool. And something else weird happened on that day as well, that we visited Jay's grave. So on the day that we visited Jay's grave, I know this might just be a massive coincidence. My nan had a dog called Jay.
Really?
Yeah. And my dad had called my nan that day and said, "Oh, we're at Jay's grave." And my nan was like, "Oh." And she didn't say anything that day, but Jay, the dog, died that day.
Oh.
We always see it as an unlucky sort of. Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, I was just looking up Jay's grave. Apparently, it happened in the 18th century.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's very sad. Back in my hometown in New Brunswick on the east coast of Canada, in Moncton, we have, because, every community pretty much has a local place that all the teenagers want to go check out because it's haunted, and they bring their beer. You get a couple of carloads. Well, we have a place too called Rebecca's Grave. Again, her and her mother were very similar to Jay's grave. They're buried on the side of the road as well. I even had someone on my show that was a family member, a descendant of Rebecca, and I can't remember if it was the 1600s or the 1800s. But anyways, Rebecca and her mother were branded witches, and I don't recall how she had passed, but when they buried her face down, because the legends say that, when you bury a witch, bury them face down, so that if they're going to come back to life and they're going to dig their way out, they're going to just keep digging down on the ground and not up towards the surface. And they put concrete. I don't know when the concrete was poured, but they put concrete on top to make sure that they wouldn't rise again. But yeah, same thing, just on the side of the road, just like Jay's grave.
Yeah. It's sad, really, isn't it? But
It is.
Yeah. Wow.
And it fascinates me too. Like we've discussed this on your show with the paranormal, that there's so many similarities around the world, no matter what culture. Just at the graves, Jay and Rebecca, they were both buried on the side of the road. We were talking about Bigfoot, in North America. They obviously have all kinds over here, and they have the same creature but different. Has a different name. Nepal, it would be called the Yeti. Australia, it's called the Yowie. It's just so fascinating. There has to be something to all of this paranormal because of the similarities. 100%. Yeah. Have you experienced any cryptids or UFOs?
UFOs, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Please tell.
I've had a few experiences with the UFOs.
Really?
Yeah. So when me and my wife first, we had a flat in Essex, which is just near London, and we was on the top floor of this flat, and we had it wasn't a forest, but it was like a little forest in front of it, if that makes sense. It was a few trees. It wasn't a full. But one day, me and my mother-in-law was standing at the window, just having a chat and just looking out, and we was both standing there, and we both saw three, and I can't even say what shape they were because they kept changing shape. 3 silver objects came out of the trees and were changing shape, but they were sort of connected, but they weren't actually touching, if that makes sense. So they were sort of moving around each other, but they weren't touching, but they seemed to be connected somehow. And we're both just gobsmacked looking at this. Now, this is going back about what? So this is about 8 years ago, I think. So the phones weren't great, so I didn't think to get a picture or a video. We was just watching. And these 3 objects were going up and moving around each other. And it was just bizarre. And we was following it all the way up to the sky. And suddenly they went flash, 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 and shot off, all 3 of them. And we were both like, no one is going to believe we just saw that. We both said it to each other.
Yeah.
And no one did. We was telling people, and there's like, no, it must have been a balloon, or it definitely wasn't. We don't know what it was.
How big were they?
They weren't that big. I would say about probably bigger than a basketball, but not a lot bigger. And there was 3 of them, and they were sort of going round each other, but not actually touching. And it was just, and we couldn't explain what shape it was because they were just changing shape, and they were like a silvery colour. And we literally watched them for about 5 minutes go all the way to the sky, and then flash, 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 they were gone.
Do you recall any sounds?
No, I didn't hear anything. Didn't hear any sounds.
How far away were they from you?
So the trees, so there was a road between the flat and the trees. So it was quite close. It was got a clear view of them. But it was just good that we both saw it.
Yeah, at least you had a witness to...
Yeah. It was just a shame I couldn't get it on video or anything. It was, we didn't even think of that at the time.
Well, I think even today, there's probably, everyone has a cell phone, a smartphone nowadays, but who's going to... You're not always going to think to take your phone out and take a photo and a video when you're experiencing something like that, because you're right in the moment and you're wondering, what am I seeing right now?
Yeah.
So there's probably a lot of footage that we could probably have had over the years had people thought of doing so.
Yeah. I did see something as well. The same past night? Friday. No, sorry, this was Friday just gone.
Oh, really?
I saw something strange.
Mm-hmm.
Sky. Now I love UFOs, and so I'm always looking at the sky.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always hoping to see something. But this Friday, I put it on my social media. I only caught the end of it on my phone because I was watching it for ages. And I didn't want to take my eyes off it because I thought as soon as I take my eyes, it's going to go. But there was a plane in the sky, and it seemed to be struggling. Me and my wife both see it, and we was like, looks like that's struggling, that plane. It was making a weird noise. Anyway, the plane went, and then it seemed to come back, and we thought it was the same plane. It might not have been. It seemed to drop like a fireball.
Mm-hmm.
This is how it looked anyway.
It looked
So
like a
the
fireball?
Yeah. So it came out the sky, and it was going down, but then the fireball came back up and was like moving around the sky in like a weird, it was really weird. And then it disappeared right in front of us, just went. And we was like, what was that? Like, we was both like, that was weird. Like, we had no idea what that was. And then it just reappeared again and was doing the same thing. That's when I got my phone out, and then it just went down. That was freaky. That was this past Friday.
Wow. Who was with you?
So it was me and my wife, and my
Okay,
kids
your
were
wife.
there as well.
Okay, and they all saw it too?
Freaking out. Yeah, the kids were crying.
Aww.
I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
You're like, this is so
I love it.
cool. And the kids
Yeah.
are like, ah.
I'm like, why are you crying?
Yeah. Stop crying. Look, this is so cool.
Yeah. So that was weird.
How did your wife react?
Well, I've got her into the subject as well. So she was quite excited as well.
Yeah.
She's seen a few things recently.
Oh, really?
She was never really into it. Just before we moved to Dorset, we've been here 8 months now.
Mm-hmm.
So it was around Christmas time. She saw a cigar-shaped UFO just go over our house.
Mm-hmm.
And she wasn't really into it. Like, it's not something that really excites her. Like me, if I see that, I'm buzzing.
Yeah.
She was like, I saw a weird cigar shape. I'm like, that's amazing. So, yeah.
She's probably going to start seeing more things now, because I find with the paranormal, whether it's ghosts, or cryptids, or extraterrestrials and UFOs, once you've had an experience, generally others start following as well.
Yeah.
Not
Do you
always.
think that's because you're open to it?
I think so. They're just, some people just don't want to have anything to do with it, and they still encounter them, and others are like us, like, oh my God, bring on some more. We want to see more, and we want to know more. But I do think it's because their minds are being open to the possibilities of what can actually be out there.
Yeah. And I think that scares some people.
Oh,
The thought that
definitely.
They can't control certain things. I think that's a big part of it as well, isn't it?
Yep. I think it's, and people who listen to the show know I've said this countless times, and I think I mentioned it to you when I was doing your show, that it's like when people go out into the forest for a hike, some people will always see wildlife, deer, chipmunks, whatever, and other people will never, ever see anything. They won't see any tracks. They won't see any evidence that there was wildlife in there, but we all know it's there. And it's like that with the paranormal.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Yep. And once you start seeing them, then you start kind of looking for them. Maybe you're not subconscious. Maybe it's a subconscious thing that, you're not consciously aware of, that you're actually looking for more. So like animals, let's say, for an example, if you see a fox out in the woods, and next time you go for another hike and you're kind of looking to see if you're going to see anything else. And I firmly believe it's like that with paranormal.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
Something else weird happened with UFO.
Oh, please tell.
So, bearing in mind how much I love the subject, this is what makes it strange. So I like to take pictures. I've always liked taking pictures of forests and nice things like that.
Now, do you have a camera or do you use your phone?
My phone, mainly just my phone, to be
Okay.
honest. But so I was taking a picture of the forest, and it was night time, but I was getting like a nice picture of the tree lines. Like, it was just a nice picture. While I was taking a picture, a light shot up from the forest and went straight to the sky, and I caught it on my phone. And you know, on an iPhone, you can sort of press down on the picture, and it's like a little video.
Mm-hmm.
So this shows you the light shooting up, and I just got this weird feeling, and that I wanted to delete it.
Oh.
And like something was, this is going to sound mad, but like something was telling me to delete this video.
Isn't that interesting?
And I did delete it. And to this day, I regret it. I don't know why.
Now, I wonder why, if that was an entity that did not want to be seen, or if it's something that's trying to protect you and say, you don't want to see this. Wow.
Yeah, that's true. It could have been. An entity, because I just automatically put it to UFO. But yeah, you're right. Could have been. But it's really weird how much I love this sort of thing, and something just told me to delete it, and I did delete it. And I just, to this day, I can't understand why I did that.
Yeah.
Because I'd love to have like something. I love that sort of thing. I don't know why I did it. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So when I say entity, I don't necessarily mean it was like a spirit. It could be extraterrestrials too.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what these things are. So I just, for lack of a better term, I just say entity.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
you must be kicking yourself now. It's like, why the heck did I?
It still bugs me big time that I did that. And I can't explain it. I don't know why. I don't know why I deleted it.
Well, maybe.
And I didn't just delete it. I deleted it from my recent. You know, when you delete something in your iPhone, it goes to your recently deleted. I deleted it from that as well.
Wow.
And I can't explain to you why I would never do that.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Now, I wonder if you would have kept it and shared it if you would have like Men in Black show up at your house and say, you need to get rid of that.
But I would have shared it. I definitely would have shared it.
Yeah.
If I get something like that, I'll share it. So it's weird that I've done that. This is going back about 4 or 5 years ago. But still, it's still weird that I've done that.
Do you know if there's been other strange lights from that same area?
Don't think so. We was away. This was in Norfolk, and I know that we was right near an army base.
I was just going to say, yeah.
Yeah, so there could have been something going on with that. We was literally right next to this army base. So it could have been something to do with that.
But then why would you have the feeling that you should delete it too?
I can't explain. Yeah. It was just a weird feeling, and I felt like I had to delete it, and I did. I don't know why. It still bugs me to this day.
Either experiments done by the military there, or extraterrestrials visit there and the army know it. And I would be fascinated to find out if there's more that's happened ever since.
Yeah. I don't know, but it is strange that I deleted it.
Yeah. I mean, had you just said that you saw lights, it's like, okay, that is kind of weird. Next to a military base, it could have been, but then that uncanny feeling that it's like, was it just a feeling, or did you have like a voice in your head?
To be honest, it was like a dark feeling, like I had to delete this, and I can't explain it because I wouldn't. Now I think I would go against that feeling and just keep it, but at the time I deleted it, and I don't know why, and then I deleted it from my recently deleted.
Yeah.
I don't know why. And it still bugs me.
Yeah. Gee. Well, if ever you have anything like that again, just let me know. Wow.
Yeah. I can't explain why. Just got this dark, horrible feeling, and I deleted it. Something in my mind told me to delete it. I can't explain it.
Now, would you say that you've had more UFO sightings or experiences than ghosts?
Recently, yeah, because not long ago, I know I said I see something on Friday, which was strange.
Mm-hmm.
Going back about 4 months, maybe 3 months, I saw another strange thing in the sky in the same sort of area. Me and my wife was both looking up at the sky, and we both saw what looked like it looked like a floating cloud ball of light is the only way I can describe it. And we both was like, what is that? It's not a plane. We're looking at it for ages.
It's evening.
Yeah, it was like, it wasn't fully dark, but it was like
Okay.
8 o'clock, summer, 8:30, something like that. So it was getting sort of dark, or 9 o'clock it might have been. And then in the middle of this, all of a sudden, another light appeared in the middle of this cloud, and it came out of the cloud, and then the cloud sort of disappeared, and then we was just following this little light that came out of the cloud for a little while, and it just sort of went off into the distance. Yeah, it was weird. So I don't know what that was.
Any airports or anything like that nearby?
There is, but it wasn't a plane.
Mhm.
Definitely wasn't a plane. But I did see on social media, on Twitter, I think it was in Kent, which is not far down the road really, put a story saying that there was sightings of this light and what looked like what we saw.
Mm-hmm.
So other people saw it as well, but don't know what it was. So that was quite strange.
It's interesting to know that other people have seen it as well.
Yeah. But I'm always looking at the sky because I always want to see a UFO.
Yeah. So it's not like, because I find since COVID, there's a lot more sightings of UFOs, and I chalk, and paranormal as well, but I chalk it up to people in the beginning of the pandemic had to stay home, and they're looking up in the skies, they're paying more attention to their surroundings. And so I don't know if that has something to do with it, but you already have been looking up at the sky for probably since you're a young boy.
Yeah, it's always fascinated me.
Yeah.
There was another time as well.
Oh, please.
This is going back to when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
Can't remember how. Probably about 14, something like that. Maybe a bit older. Me and my mates were just playing in the street as we used to do. This is before phones, like we all had.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we had phones, but not cameras on them.
Yeah.
And we was playing in football in the street, and we all saw in the distance this sort of. The only way I can explain
Sorry to interrupt. Football, do you mean what we call soccer over here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even though I do like American football as well. But I was playing soccer.
Okay.
And we saw in the distance this. The only way I can explain it is like like the buildings in Dubai, all like funny shapes,
Yes.
like triangles or whatever, like weird shapes. But there was like this weird. It was right in the distance, like this. It just looked like a floating building, and I just remember that it had orange on it. It had like orange walls on it, but it was like a big weird building that you'd see in Dubai. Is the best way I can explain it. And it was just there. It was just floating for, I don't know how long it was. It didn't go. It was, at the time, it's weird. I wasn't too blown away by it, but we was all watching it. Like, now I'd be absolutely buzzing if I saw that now.
Yeah. Do you recall if there was any sound with it, or
no
temperature,
sound.
Or you felt anything?
No, it was just a summer's day. It was just a nice day, clear sky.
Mm-hmm.
And it was quite far in the distance, but you could see what it was. But yeah, it was weird.
What did your friends say?
I don't think we was too amazed by it, to be honest, which is strange. Now I'd be over the moon to see something like that.
Like you just saw a flying building.
Yeah, it's weird because we wasn't too. I think we just carried on playing soccer.
That's funny.
I don't think we was watching it for a bit, like that's crazy, and then back to the soccer.
That's funny.
It was weird, yeah. Still, it was definitely something.
How many of you were there?
So it was probably about 4 or 5 of us at the time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I don't know. I'll have to ask my brother. I know my brother was there. I'll have to ask if he remembers that.
It'd be interesting to know if he remembers.
Yeah.
Let me know if you ask him.
I will do.
I'm curious.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah, that memory just come back to me, to be honest. I'm not. I need to ask him that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting too when you talked with other people how all of a sudden you just remember things that had happened
Yeah,
and you're like, oh
yeah.
yeah, I'd forgotten about that.
Because as I say, when I started the show, I sort of wrote down all the things that I see in the ghosts and the UFOs,
Hmm.
but there's things I've missed out that I've just, for whatever reason, I forgot it.
It's going to be interesting to know that the more you do your show, if you're going to have more memories.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That would be
I hope
cool.
so.
If you do, you have to write them down. Maybe write a
Yeah,
book.
definitely. Yeah.
I'll
Yeah,
buy
no,
it.
definitely. I hope so. Oh, thank you. I hope so. Anyway, I hope there's more. But yeah,
Any other encounters?
I'm trying to think. Was there anything else? I don't think there is. There's nothing that. No. I mean, I know things that have happened family-wise.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, that's the only things that I can remember personally that's happened to me.
Now, do
Yeah,
you,
quite a
whenever
few
you get
things.
together with family or friends, do you talk paranormal?
Yeah, I'm always up for talking paranormal.
Yeah,
So
same
I'm like,
here. Yeah.
oh, Tom's back. It's all paranormal again.
I
I always bring
try
it up.
I try not to bring it up too much because
Yeah.
I'm sure they're all like, "Oh, for the love of Pete, just again, like you can't talk about something
I
else."
know. Yeah, I'm the same. I love it.
Has this ever happened to you? I'll meet people and I don't tell them what I do. I don't tell them I'm an investigator or a podcaster. And then for whatever reason, they'll just start talking about the paranormal. And
Yeah.
I'll look at them and then they say, "You don't believe this, do you?" I'm like, "What makes you say that?" Because of the look on your face. I'm like, "No, no, no, continue." And I'll explain my facial expression in a minute. So then
Yeah.
once they're finished, then I tell them, "Okay." And I tell them what I do. And they're like, "No way, get out of here." That has happened to me so often. It's just,
Yeah.
has that happened to you?
Yeah, it has, yeah. And I might just keep talking. I love this.
Yeah, and it's just like, why would they even start talking about the paranormal? Like, is it something that I'm projecting? It's like, please,
Yeah, yeah,
please tell me if you've had any experiences. But
yeah,
oh yeah, I laugh every time it happens.
yeah. Oh, I love it. I
Yeah,
love it. I'm always fascinated. I can listen to people's paranormal experiences all day long.
same. Yeah.
I love it.
And like I mentioned before, there's so many similarities with people's experiences. It's just
Yeah,
amazing.
thing, yeah. So there's something and most I would say most people have experienced something at some point. Whether they like my brother, for example, he won't mind me saying that he is the opposite to me.
Mhm.
Whereas he will always try and dismiss what he's felt or seen. Even though I said he saw the eyes and he says he sees it, he saw the eyes looking at him,
Yep.
he'll still try and put it down to something else or like this is something that happened as well. So me and my brother, we had a dog called Stan.
Oh, I love that.
He was lovely little dog, little Staff, and he passed away.
Oh, I'm
But
sorry.
me and my brother loved this dog. Like we was really close to him. He used to sleep in our room with us, and yeah, he was like another brother. And when he passed, you could. I never personally heard this, but my brother did. You used to hear him running up and down the stairs as he did when he was alive. He
Oh,
would hear him,
he was still
and
there.
he was still there. And so my brother one day as well was in bed, and Stan used to like jumping in between your legs and sleeping in between your legs in the bed. And my brother actually felt Stan jump on the bed in between his legs. He felt him do it. And he'll say this openly, but he'll still say, "But I'm not sure. I don't know if that." And I'm like, "Bruv, that is amazing. Like you felt Stan. Like there's no,
Yep,
just accept it." But he
exactly.
was still, even after experiencing something like that, he'll still sort of have a bit of doubt in his mind that, yeah,
I
it's
still do
strange.
that too. I still try, like, even though I'm a believer, I'm a big skeptic as well, because I try to figure out, what did I just experience? And I find for most people, especially if they're not really into the paranormal as much as you and I are, that if they have an experience, their mind is trying to formulate a logical reason as to what they just experienced. So that's probably what your brother was doing.
Yeah, I get it. I get why
Oh yeah.
people would think. 100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think when something like that happens, you just know.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. What does he say about that now? Do you still talk about it?
Yeah, I still say to him, because he still says, I'm not sure about the paranormal, and he's not as open, obviously, as me. But I say, like, brother, for me, that it's I don't know.
Yeah. How can he
If something
not?
like that happens, yeah, I can't understand how he can not, but yeah, he still questions it.
There could be a small part of him too that doesn't want to believe in it, and so that's
Yeah,
why
I
he's
think, yeah. Yeah, I know he listens to the show and stuff, so I know he's interested in it.
Oh yeah, or he's supporting his brother.
Yeah, probably. But he always seems to want to talk about it a little bit more now.
Oh, that's
But
good.
yeah, so maybe he's coming round.
Maybe he'll
We'll
open
have to
up
get him on the
sometime and
show.
tell you some experiences he's had
Yeah,
that
that'd
you
be
don't
cool.
even know about.
Yeah, there probably is. Yeah,
Oh,
that'd be cool.
and then you'll have to have him on the show.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did say to him he'd have to come on, because it'll be good to have someone that maybe doesn't believe everything and
Yeah,
another perspective. But yeah,
that's fascinating.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Tommy. Before we sign off here, can you tell the listeners where they can find your show and where to find you on social media?
Yep. So we're on all the podcast platforms. Tommy Cullum's Let's Get Freaky podcast. We're on social media: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You can reach us on any of those platforms at TC Let's Get Freaky podcast. We'd love to hear from you. Yeah, we're always open.
And as usual, listeners, I'm going to be adding the links to all these so you can just click and you're there. So you don't have to do much searching. Thank you so much, Tommy. I really appreciate this.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. It's been amazing. Thanks, Kat.
Oh, you're very welcome. Take care.
Thank you. You too. Thank you.
Well, we've made it to the end of another episode. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time, take care of each other. And if you'd like to be on the show or have questions and comments, just drop me an email, paranormalheart13@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you.
Paranormal Heart would like to extend a special thank you to PurplePlanet.com for supplying the music for the show. The views and opinions expressed on Paranormal Heart are those of the host and participants.